So, what would you little maniacs like to do first?
The image burned itself into Friday night memories. Two teenagers in a dim bedroom, feeding magazine clippings into a computer that looked like it could barely run a calculator, and then lightning turning fantasy into reality. Back when home computers were mysterious boxes you plugged into the wall and prayed didn't erase your homework, and VHS rentals came in bulky cardboard sleeves. But behind those neon blues and synth pop tracks, the production of Weird Science was chaos. A director running on instinct, not scripts, a cast too young for what they were asked to do, and a near scandal that almost ended the whole thing before it started. These are 25 facts about Weird Science, 1985, that reveal what really happened behind the bedroom door where two kids tried to build the perfect woman. Fact number 1, the script wasn't really finished when shooting began. This was 1984, back when studios wanted teen comedies fast, not polished, and John Hughes was juggling 3 films at once, scribbling new pages every single night. Cast members would often show up to the set not knowing what scene they were filming until an assistant handed them fresh paper. It created a panicked energy, but it also delivered a strange rawness that is still alive in the movie. Hughes operated like a high-speed jazz musician, improvised, instinctive, and completely unpredictable. Fact number 2. Anthony Michael Hall was only 16 during filming, still too young to drive himself to the set. And because this was long before modern labor protections tightened around minors, he was routinely pushed into 14-hour workdays, night shoots, stunts, smoke machines, and long dialogue runs often pushed him to the point of exhaustion, and crew members later admitted they weren't sure how he managed to stay upright. This was the era before child actor comfort was a priority, when young stars were expected to endure silent suffering. Fact number 3, Kelly LeBrock almost flat out refused the role of Lisa. She liked the script and the idea of playing a woman literally created from adolescent imagination, but she deeply worried the film would be too crude, too revealing, and too risky for her public image at the time. The turning point only came when she was assured the role wasn't written as a prop, but as someone who ultimately understood the boys better than they understood themselves. That subtle nuance, the psychological underpinning, was the one thing that kept her on board. Fact number 4, Robert Downey Jr. was nearly fired in his first week of production, not for his performance, but for being late, repeatedly. This was long before he became a global name, back before anyone treated him like a superstar on set. Production assistants complained, lighting crews fumed, and Hughes had to threaten to replace him entirely before Downey cleaned up his act just enough to survive. It was a chaotic way to start a career, but that unpredictability is what audiences loved about the era. Fact number 5, the house party chaos scene pushed the set past its absolute breaking point. Smoke machines filled the rooms right to the ceiling, extras packed the stairways shoulder to shoulder, and this was all before tight fire code oversight became standard. A stunt coordinator later admitted that if one spark from the pyrotechnics had landed wrong, the entire set could have gone up in flames. The energy felt manic on screen, but that feeling was earned through actual, uncontrolled danger behind the cameras. Fact number 6, Kelly LeBrock's outfits were notoriously uncomfortable, even bordering on dangerous. Those vintage-cut bodysuits and delicate fabrics looked completely effortless on screen, but under the set lights, which regularly hit temperatures that would be outlawed on any production today, she was simply melting. This was back when filmmaking meant suffering for the shot. Crew members had to rush in every few takes with fans, ice water cloths, and spare makeup towels just to keep her from overheating. Fact number 7, the house's bathroom scene, where Gary and Wyatt get locked out and panic, wasn't supposed to be that intense, but the fear you see is completely authentic. The door actually jammed for real. The boys pounded on it for several takes before the crew realized the mechanism had warped and they were genuinely trapped. Hughes kept the footage, which gave the moment a frantic authenticity that could never have been replicated with acting alone. Fact number 8, a completely different actress was originally approached for the role of Lisa, supermodel Paulina Porizkova. She immediately declined, worrying that the role would define her in all the wrong ways, as a fantasy object in the emerging teen comedy landscape. If she had accepted, the entire tone of the film would have changed, impacting the aesthetic of the whole era. It's a casting what if that changed the psychological landscape of the 80s teen film. Fact number 9, Vernon Wells, playing the menacing mutant biker, reused elements of his Mad Max 2 persona, including the leather, the stare, and the aura of controlled violence. But what audiences didn't know was that the motorcycle exhaust on the set caused Wells to nearly pass out during one of his takes. Gas fumes filled the small room faster than expected, and filming had to stop for nearly an hour to properly ventilate the set. Fact number 10. The dramatic kitchen storm sequence was a genuine on-set hazard that left the crew terrified. Live electrical cords snaked through the puddles that were created by the massive rain machines, and crew members later admitted they were scared someone would be electrocuted at any moment. One grip slipped in the water, sending a jolt through a metal table. No one was injured, but the sheer scare silenced the entire room, proving that back then, practical effects meant real danger. Fact number 11. Elon Mitchell Smith, Wyatt, suffered repeated pounding headaches from one of the heavy prosthetics used in the mutant biker fantasy sequence. The adhesive pulled painfully at his skin, and the chemical fumes stung his eyes. His mother, who was on set daily, had to demand shorter makeup sessions because the child actor comfort wasn't a priority the way it is now. It's a painful reminder of the human cost that went into those era-defining films. Fact number 12. The scene where the missile launches through the bedroom floor that almost collapsed the entire set. Engineers miscalculated the pressure needed to blast the prop through the opening. When the test fire went wrong, the wooden beams split much more violently than anticipated. The crew had to rush to reinforce the floor overnight with emergency steel supports just to continue filming. Back then, the spectacle audiences saw was created with real, physically destructive practical effects. Fact number 13. John Hughes had a completely private, unlisted code word with Anthony Michael Hall to signal when a scene needed extra improvisation. Hughes would whisper it just once per take, and Hall knew instantly to loosen the rhythm, push the boundaries of the scene, and make the moment a little stranger. This secret language gave those iconic Hughes films a raw, unpredictable energy that could only be delivered by a director who completely trusted his actors. Fact number 14. Kelly LeBrock actually fainted once on the set, not from heat, but from simply holding a pose for too long. During one of the early bedroom scenes, Hughes wanted her to stand perfectly still while the boys panicked around her. Minutes passed, the lights blazed, her knees locked, and she simply dropped. Medical staff tended to her immediately, and filming paused until she fully recovered, a moment of real fragility hidden within the story of a perfect woman. Fact number 15. There was quiet, simmering tension between Kelly LeBrock and one of the teen actors, but it wasn't romantic, it was professional. The actor kept breaking character around her, giggling mid-line and constantly derailing the takes. Hughes tried coaching him and separating them, but eventually the actor privately admitted he was simply intimidated by LeBrock's overwhelming presence. The tension only eased after she took the time to talk him through the roll-off camera. Fact number 16. The movie's now iconic shower scene had to be filmed twice, not for a performance fix, but because of a shocking safety issue. The first attempt used a glass door that wasn't safety rated. When Hall leaned on it, the panel cracked suddenly from top to bottom. Shards fell and sliced open the padding beneath the tub. Hall wasn't hurt, but the entire crew realized how dangerously close it had been. Hughes immediately insisted on a full reset with properly reinforced glass. Fact number 17. Bill Paxton didn't just dislike his Chet wig, he genuinely hated it. It dug into his scalp, trapped his sweat under the hot lights, and gave him pounding headaches during the long shoots. But because this was the era before actors had the clout to push back against costume discomfort, he endured the suffering silently. Years later, he would joke that the uncomfortable wig was more dangerous than any stunt he ever performed in his career. Fact number 18. Kelly LeBrock was going through a profoundly difficult period in her marriage during the filming of the movie. Though never discussed publicly at the time, close crew members later acknowledged she was balancing the on-screen confidence of the perfect woman with intense off-screen turmoil. The contrast gave her performance a sharper, more layered edge than Hughes even expected. Back when film sets were a closed world, that private suffering was often channeled directly into the art audiences consumed. Fact number 19. Robert Downey Jr. performed an impulsive, risky stunt that should have never been approved. During the chaotic mall scene, he decided to simply leap over a railing instead of taking the safe route down the stairs. The landing forced his ankle sideways, and he limped for 2 entire days afterward. He refused to report the injury, fearing he'd finally be replaced, proving that even a small part in a teen comedy required a willingness to suffer for the job. Fact number 20. On the set, there were pervasive rumors that Hughes had originally envisioned a darker, much more sensual version of Lisa. Early drafts of the script hinted at a relationship arc that was far more adult and complex than what eventually ended up on the screen. Cast members who saw those pages said the tone was closer to European sci-fi erotica than American teen comedy. It took the studio intervening and forcing Hughes to significantly lighten the material before filming could even begin. Fact number 21. Kelly LeBrock's glowing motherboard creation entrance required her to stand directly behind a real electrical panel that was hooked up to sparking pyrotechnic effects. During one take, a cable suddenly overloaded and burned through its casing. Flames shot up inches from her feet, and stagehands had to instantly tackle the fire. Production halted for hours, providing a shocking testament to the dangers of practical effects before modern safety standards became routine. Fact number 22. One assistant director actually collapsed from heat exhaustion during the notoriously crowded house party scene. Those old living room lights hit temperatures that modern LED systems would never reach. While extras fanned themselves with folded paper plates, someone suddenly passed out near the staircase. Paramedics were called, but once the room had cooled down, filming continued, proving that back then, the show simply had to go on. Fact number 23. Hughes and Downey Jr. quietly clashed over the tone and nature of the bullies. Downey wanted them to be punk, aggressive, and unpredictable, but Hughes envisioned a more cartoonish menace. For 2 days, arguments simmered. Eventually, Hughes compromised. Downey could improvise small, chaotic moments as long as the scene's structure remained intact. That compromise is why there is a strange, almost surreal, chaotic energy in every shot Downey is in. Fact number 24. A near-romantic scandal almost derailed the filming of some intimate scenes. One of the actors developed a very visible, undeniable crush on Kelly LeBrock. Crew members noticed it, and so did Hughes. It never crossed a line, but it created awkward tension during several intimate scenes. LeBrock handled it professionally, but several takes had to be scrapped entirely because the actor simply couldn't maintain his composure. Fact number 25. The most shocking hidden truth is that Kelly LeBrock almost quit the production halfway through filming. Not over the content or the danger, but over respect. She felt sidelined, under-acknowledged, and genuinely treated like a mere prop rather than a leading woman. A desperate late-night conversation with John Hughes changed everything. He promised to reshape Lisa as the emotional center of the story, the true catalyst, rather than just a fantasy figure. She stayed, and that pivotal decision is the exact reason the film still works today. Weird Science wasn't polished, it wasn't safe, and it wasn't even fully planned. It belonged to that brief, chaotic moment in the mid-80s when studios trusted pure instinct more than algorithms, when teen comedies were allowed to be messy, weird, and dangerous all at once. Back when theaters played films for months, and the glow of an arcade cabinet spilled into mall corridors just down the hall from where the movie's posters hung. What began as a completely chaotic experiment became a strange, enduring cultural touchstone held together by sheer instinct, sudden improvisation, and actors who were pushed further than they ever expected. For those who first saw it on a grainy VHS, pulled from a video rack on a Saturday night, when the shared cultural memory felt unified, it's still profoundly unforgettable.